We are ready for the opening event for both the men and the women here at the 2021 NOBULL CrossFit Games.
All right, we're back. Let's have some fun.
This is the type of test that we are used to seeing kick things off at the game.
This is a classic way to kick off the CrossFit Games. We're getting outside the box, we're getting in the water, and we have a new implement with that kayak as the paddle portion of this starting event.
And with that, the 2021 NOBULL CrossFit Games are underway.
And we said the chaos and the confusion. Look at the right side of your screen, all those heads popping up because they're running into the back of people. This is a 1,600-meter swim, folks. This is going to be a very, very long bout. So there is absolutely no reason to get yourself caught up in the middle. We see some athletes losing their goggles right off the bat and running into each other. So we talked about the swim fins, right? There's always an advantage having a swimming background, and we've got a lot of athletes in this field that have that. You know, your Brent Fikowskis, your Noah Olsons, your Emma Talls, your Barnharts. Tia-Toomey's never lost a swim event since she started the CrossFit Games. Kristi Eramo O'Connell's in the field as well, but we talked about the fins being an advantage, and it's a massive, massive advantage if you have a swimming background like Jonne, Koski, Brent Fikowski. And what that's going to do is it's going to make you so much faster. It's not going to even the field. So some people might think that's the case, like, oh, if you give bad swimmers fins, they automatically become good. And that is not actually the case. This is an absolutely beautiful swim stroke, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's probably Jonne Koski, who is one of the best swimmers, if not the best swimmer in the field. Jonne Koski having a national team experience for him, but what we're looking for is length of stroke and comfortability in the water, and he has that nice high elbow coming through, that good reach. He's not crossing over his body. Jonne Koski, and this is what I said, is like, you know, Jonne Koski's always been great at swimming. He wins the swim events that he's in. Now he's going to win it as he makes the turnaround with ease because of the addition of the fins. Right? And so, like Mike said, it almost gives you a false sense of security that it's going to make you better.
Jonne Koski is all by himself in front for the men. Behind him, it's mostly women. A couple of male athletes back there, but it's after Koski, the women have really separated themselves now from the rest of the men's field.
And that's been pretty traditional over the years when events like this, like we said, this is a very classic way to start the CrossFit Game. It's a big monostructural bout to begin things.
Jonne Koski is just demolishing the field at this point. And if his kayak doesn't sink, you got to think he's well on his way to racking up an event win here early, because that is a gigantic lead. Here are the kayaks the athletes will be getting into once they complete that 1 mile swim. And then they have to embark on a 3 mile trek in those things. He is now done with that 1 mile swim, and he does it about 6 minutes faster than the two guys who tested it yesterday, James Newberry and Con Porter, and those two are really good in the water.
They are really good, but Jonne Koski is one of the best we've ever had at the CrossFit Games. That's not just a good swim for a CrossFitter. That's a great swim overall, just for a swimmer itself. And just look how comfortable he just did that. 6 minutes faster than some of the best swimmers we have in CrossFit, and he just looked like he's warming up for the event.
Koski grabs his paddle, has his kayak, and he is off.
Journey across the lake.
So now we move to the kayak, and you know, swimming, you just said we did a mile in about 20 to 22 minutes. And you would think kayaking would be exponentially faster than swimming, and you'd actually be surprised how average of a pace you're going to see on the kayaks as most people get to them.
Jonne Koski is the only person in the kayak, 3 miles in that thing. And yesterday in testing, it took Newberry and Porter an hour 20 to do the totality of the event. That is Amanda Barnhart, who is out of the water first, no shock there, former D1 college swimmer at Cleveland State. Really good in high school. She was a state qualifier as a sophomore and a senior. She was a member of relay teams that set 4 school records there.
And again, coming out of the water as if nothing. She just a little warm up for a 3-mile kayak. Just super comfortable. She's not gasping for air. Very relaxed, and that's, again, a massive, massive advantage to have a swimming background.
Barnhart will be the first woman on the kayak. That is Brent Fikowski that you just saw.
And I think that might have been Lazar Jukic behind him. And those were some of the athletes I was thinking about coming in. Just, again, if you have a swimming background, even if it's like high school, it's a massive advantage for this event. Now, a lot of the stuff that's going to come in here, and I believe that's Emma Tall, the athletes are talking about that is going to be successful with this, is that now we're going into a 3-mile kayak, but it's still going to be about a 40 to 50-minute bout, depending on the pace that they're able to sustain for all 3 miles. But it's going to come down to a lot of technique with how you paddle in this, and being able to conserve energy. Efficiency with this movement is going to be huge over the next 3 miles.
Koski is your leader for the men. And again, just barring some sort of nautical disaster here.
An iceberg, maybe.
Iceberg pirates and maybe an engine fire. I think he's going to be okay and win the event. He looks to be working very well through the water. Brandon Luckett on the right of your screen coming out. That is,
as you come in, throw those fins off to the left.
Mackenzie Riley, who is another athlete with a strong swimming background. Sean Sweeney just pulled off his swim cap.
Throw the fins off to the left side. Throw them off to the left.
Look at the right side of your screen. You see Jonne Koski, nice, smooth, and comfortable. You don't want to overdo it early, because you can redline just as easy on a swim that you can on the paddle, and that nice, consistent pace, smooth rhythm from Jonne Koski on the right side of your screen.
Mackenzie Riley has her kayak. Ran into Kenzie yesterday walking around the campus. She was with her infant son, Race, and her husband.
Handshake making his way over the kayak as well.
Brandon Luckett is in the water. Now more men and women finishing that 1-mile swim. Still faster than what we saw yesterday in testing, but again, conditions much better, as there's Noah Olson. Saxon Panchik behind him. Sam Briggs is there as well. Briggs with the yellow swim fin in her right hand. Cara Saunders also out of the water. Looks like Kristen Holton was next to her.
And Briggs only had 1 fin in her hand, so I don't know if she just left it in the water when she was taking them off, or that popped off sometime in the middle of that event.
These are your 2 leaders, Amanda Barnhart on the left, Jonne Koski on the right.
And we talked about technique being huge advantage for this. Is look at the difference between Amanda Barnhart and Jonne Koski. Jonne Koski on the bottom right side of your screen. Just a nice, easy, consistent rhythm, where Amanda Barnhart is basically doing single strokes at a time. That is not the way to do a kayak. You have to have a bit more of a smooth technique here.
This is Tia Toomey now on the right of your screen. She's in that red and white kayak and starting to pull even with the lead pack of Kristi, Eramo O'Connell, Emma Tall, and Amanda Barnhart.
And Tia has actually spread her hands out since the last time we saw her, and she's much more balanced. This is that nice rhythmic cycling that you want to see when you're paddling on the kayak.
This is the 87th Games event in which Tia Toomey has participated. She's won 24.
I mean,
that's why she is the 4-time fittest woman on earth.
Exactly. Going on 5, and you know what? It's going to be a long weekend, but we're starting off with a long event, and she's no stranger to having success out here in Madison.
Remember, there is a run to the finish line here.
There is a run to the finish line.
Just keep that in mind.
I'm curious how the legs would feel sitting in this position for about an hour.
Great start for Jonne Koski. He just barely looks like he's even laboring too hard here.
Well, I was going to actually speak to that because how often do we see CrossFitters or Olympians in the pool that it makes it look so easy, and you still don't really understand the totality of the test for this particular one, right?
His third career event win here at the CrossFit Games.
Be halfway there, like, don't you dare, don't you dare.
Koski is out. Now remember this is what they, we talked about earlier with Nikki Brazier.
The majority of the competitors.
There is a transition here that could make a difference.
Well, it is, and it's not just, hey, exit and go through, is they have about a 50-meter swim to get into the transition area to run to the finish line. So, you know, we've seen it's Toomey, Eramo, and Emma Tall, though she's a little bit outside that, is there's still going to be a third component of this race, and it's this second swim transition to the end. And when we start getting to those bunched up groups, that is really going to make a difference between who gets first or second, and points matter in the totality of the weekend with 15 total events.
Jonne Koski is out of the water, and he can have himself a leisurely stroll across the finish line.
Put your hands together.
100 points and the third career event win for Jonne Koski.
Across the finish line, give it up for Jonne Koski. In around 1 hour and 6 minutes.
Lazar Jukic out of Serbia. Like we said earlier, his younger brother Luka is here as well, and Lazar, who looks like he cut into Koski's lead a little bit there on the kayak. I guess that's all relative, but he's out of the kayak and now will make his way to the finish line.
Now, the one thing here is we talked about the swim transition being a big deal. The one thing that people might not be thinking about is that they don't have their caps or goggles with them. And if you're a comfortable swimmer, that's no problem. If you're not, that could be a very big problem, is that if you're not able to just put your head in the water and trust your swim stroke, that's going to be interesting to see some of these athletes when they're coming in that middle pack of how they navigate this last swim.
Lazar's out of the water, and he will take second place, and he will earn 97 points.
He makes his way in to the finish line.
Fantastic start for Lazar Jukic, making his first career appearance at the CrossFit Games.
Good job. What's your athlete number?
But a very different body language between him and Koski coming out of the water. He got second, he dominated the field along with Jonne Koski, but he was much more fatigued coming out of the water than Koski was.
This is Brandon Luckett. No, that is Alex Vigneault.
Wow.
Alex Vigneault.
Where did you come from?
Lazar finishing.
Well, Canada, that's the answer.
Will finish in third place, and he will earn 94 points. So Alex Vigneault, the first time we've talked about him. And that looks like Brandon Luckett.
And here comes the swim race on the right side for the women at Tia and Kristi Eramo.
Tia Toomey is ahead of Kristi Eramo. Luckett's looking over his shoulder. I think that's Fikowski, who's in the blue swim cap, but we'll have to wait till they get out. Maybe not, but Luckett's out. Doesn't look like Fikowski, but Brandon Luckett's going to try to lock up a fourth place finish for the men. He's out of the water. Tia Toomey, meanwhile, is holding off Kristi Eramo O'Connell.
Brandon Luckett, ladies and gentlemen.
Luckett takes fourth.
Over his shoulder.
Toomey is in. Luckett is across. Toomey out of the water. And Tia Toomey starts her quest for her fifth straight championship with her 25th career event win at the CrossFit Games.
Look how fired up she was. I mean, you knew you were basically going to get first the whole time, and you are so jacked at the end of it. That is dangerous for the rest of the field for these women.
Yeah, more athletes starting to work their way out of the water.
BKG across that finish line.
Jorgen Carl Gudmundsson is in.
Just let go of your cap and goggles, bro. You don't need to swim with that in your hands if you're trying to beat people next to you.
Justin Medeiros got in ahead of Gudmundsson, so Medeiros finishes 5th. That's Emily Rolfe, who is across the finish line.
Emily Rolfe across that finish line. Brown in the house as well. Haley Adams.
Here's Haley Adams who's in, so more athletes starting to finish. Baden Brown was the man who came across for the men.
Brett Koski.
To recap the finishers for the women, it's Toomey in first, Kristi Eramo O'Connell in second. Emma Tall finished 3rd, followed by Emily Rolfe. Haley Adams is 5th, Emma Carey takes a 6th, and it's Mackenzie Riley who finishes 7th. Unofficially, I can tell you that it's Jonne Koski with the win. Lazar Jukic will finish 2nd. Alex Vino is 3rd. Brandon Luckett finished in 4th. And Justin Medeiros 5th. We will take a break. Event 2 is up next, and we're going to hit dry land for the first time here at the 2021 NOBULL CrossFit Games.